Okay, we're now entering an area which I call the Plumeria patch for reasons that were explained in the last video a year and a half ago. Since then I planted a number of stuff. This is a Hawaiian native tree known as Ohe, O-H-E. It's been in the ground just a couple months and has grown about a foot in that time. The first of the palms has really grown nicely here. This palm is Arenga undulatifolia. Oh, I just love these Latin names. This little guy is Calyptoromia rivularis. Not very happy being far away from a river, but it's growing. Last time I said I didn't know what this was. It was just a little tiny thing. It's since been identified as something known as a satin leaf, because of the coloration on the bottom of the leaves. See that? It's growing quite nicely. Someday we'll produce some shade. Now here we've had a fire. This burned off about a week ago. Have no idea how it started. Neighbors' kids saw the smoke, grabbed a hose, and also called the fire department. Thankfully, it didn't hurt any of my trees. Melted a little bit of irrigation tubing, but it did get rid of a lot of grass that I would have to cut down. Okay, here's a cow tree. As I said, this was brought in by the Hawaiians. It's growing fairly nice for a year and a half. It's just about 6 feet tall now. Someday I still have to clear all of this grass on this side. Okay, this is the silk oak, the Greenvillea from Australia. Remember how small it was? Look at this bugger. It's about 8 feet tall now. You can see the black half-inch poly pipe. That's my irrigation line. Now this tree over here is the first of my two African tulips. This one got pretty singed by the flames, but I think it'll come back without any major problem. Just the leaves got singed. Here's a podocarpus. This one has gotten bigger. It's now about 8 feet tall. Hopefully someday it starts spreading out. And then the older of my African tulips. This one is flowering now. And hopefully it's going to start spreading, especially now that the fire took away some of the competition for water. And below it are 3 clumps of Chamaedorea hupriana. They're growing nicely, but they're not really liking the sun they're getting, so hopefully the African tulip someday will give it more shade and we'll get darker leaves. Okay, here is that little pink Tacoma. This little skinny beanpole thing. Might be kind of hard in the video to make out the leaves on it. With the scrub stuff growing below it. Here you can see my water line and more of the PVC pipe, the poly pipe. Okay, this little guy just went in a couple months ago. Okay. This is, I don't know how you pronounce these things. Syphenix nuclei. It got burnt from the sun. Hopefully the new leaves will be more adapted. And here's that avocado seedling. It got singed on the left side, which is where the fire was, but the rest of it looks pretty healthy. And then we have another guy that's been in the ground for a while and is not really loving the sunshine. Okay, this is a Chamborea hookeri. You can see the new leaves come out, don't look too bad, and then they get a little toasted. And here's some of the terracing I've been doing. You'll see it better from the lower. When I get to the low side. Okay, now I got a few banana trees. The first one is the dwarf Jamaican red. It's only been in the ground a couple of weeks. And then this one is something came out of the mountains up in Waianae Valley. I have no idea what it is, but the fruit's pretty good. And this other one also came from Waianae, but it's different. This one, the fruit is kind of a reddish orange interior. Tastes very sweet. Had some kind of problem with the top. It wasn't putting out new leaves, so I cut the top off. I'm thinking about maybe just cutting the whole thing down. I'm not sure what the problem is. And here we got a little Zamia. Amblifile, I don't even want to try to pronounce that guy, but you can see the new leaves of these real little tiny things down here. Now that it's out in the sun, it got out of the greenhouse. Imagine it'll take a few years before it starts sending out nice long fronds like the greenhouse ones. Okay, this is another one of the satin leaf trees. And down here is a Caryota, and this is one of those nice ones. This is Caryota zebrina. Can you see the striping on the petioles? This has only been in the ground since November of last year. Seedling came from Big Island from Jeff Marcus. Here's another Polycarpus. It's looking pretty good now. I've improved the watering. It's getting a little more sunlight, and it's starting to grow faster. This is the thing I think is a tuna, T-O-O-N-A. And here's what's left of the kiawe tree, the mesquite. I've cut this whole side here down, and I'm starting to work on this one. I'm going to get rid of all of it. Some of the wood I'll save for barbecuing. It's a great wood to use in the barbecue, and it's also a great wood to use when you're building terraces. Holds back the soil. Because it's such a hardwood, it's going to take many, many years before it rots. I've had some really big logs that have been used to make raised beds for 25 years ago, and they're still solid as rocks. So that's about it, guys. This is the Plumeria patch. Oh, my monkey pod. Not so sure that it's grown a whole lot, but I've improved the watering on that. Hopefully it takes off this summer.